folks, we are going to look at the SCX COT chassis today. One of our slot brothers online, Chris, is going to switch his COT, which is digital, to analog. One of the easier ways, well, there's no easy way to do this, quite frankly. I shouldn't even start this off like that. Why do SCX make this odd chassis with these little tabs? Well, you see, it's super easy to assemble when you're in China. There you go. You put the guide in, the chassis is assembled. That's basically it. It's not a design that a lot of people like, but it works, and it actually works really, really well up until the point of people hating its guts. Anyway, so let me get this out again. It doesn't come out terribly easily, but then again, it's not supposed to. So he tries to do this live as he's doing it live and not break shit. Pop. It actually does come out fairly easily. One of the main problems with this system is that when these get assembled, these little legs might not be exactly even. They might be bent a tiny bit, and that puts the car off because these push down on the bottom, or on the top rather, of the guide. That's how the guide gets power, is these little tabs. This basically just push these in a little bit. These just make contact under the chassis and take the power from the guide through this to the motor where it picks it up. It's a very simple system. The problem is, well, there's a million problems with this design. If you get dirt on top of here and corrosion and whatever, you can see this one, this set of brushes is a little bit worn, braids rather, and you can see that they're kind of dirty. That's a problem. So that'll cause maybe poor contact. If these aren't adjusted right, that'll cause poor contact. If they're dirty, you can see they were a little dirtier. I just kind of cleaned them up with my thumb there. That can cause poor contact and poor transmission. If these tabs that filter these are for the lights inside, that there are little tabs that might touch these and then light up the lights that are inside their strips inside the car to transmit the power. I mean, it's all, in theory, it works well, but in practice, there's a lot of problems that can be introduced with all these pressure connections and, you know, corrosion that you get. Like, these are kind of corroded. You just clean these up with a pencil eraser, or I don't know what, some speed spit. So those tabs, if those lay fairly flat against the chassis, so there's no real reason that those would get bent. And if they were, I mean, it's unlikely that they would be. The other problem that can be introduced is these tabs on either side of the motor can be also misaligned. And if they're not pushing down enough, they won't make good electrical contact. If they're pushing down too much or off center or off of kind of flat or even, it'll cause the motor to kind of kink to one side, because these put a pressure connection on the chassis, as you see here. And believe it or not, those little springy things add quite a bit of pressure. You can kind of adjust them by kind of pulling out like this on them to center them up a little bit. You see, I just kind of bent that one back a little more, and it's like straighter now. You want those to make really good contact on the tops of these, and these kind of, I mean, this would already be installed, so it would be already under the tabs there. You see, I just slid them under there, and if this is flat on the chassis, it's going to make good contact. But that's the only connection for your power. Now you can jump this and just go with, you can solder on, if you're good enough, and solder on to these tiny little connections But that also leads to its own problems sometimes. Well, you can't, there's no problem here, but you can see like where they did this at the factory, it's kind of a lot of solder here. And it does kind of warp these if they get too hot. I've seen them burn through sometimes. Yeah, so this is from a different car that wouldn't have had lights in it, but it's the same, identical. This is like the second version of the guide system with this different kind of a guide here, and these little tabs. These are the ones with the kind of skis on the front. This is the second and better version of this system. There was an older version which really wasn't very good at all that they did stop using quite a while ago. Alrighty, so in preparation for sending these to Chris to use, his wife just got a COT. It's the Kevin Harvick Reese's car, a personal favorite of mine, one of my projects when I worked for there, when I worked for SCX. We're going to do the rewrap here on the guide, on the brushes. So what you want to do is make one long guide brush instead of two little tabs, because two little tabs is like literally the worst thing you could possibly do for a connection. So now what you have is one long guide, I keep saying that, one long braid that's going to have the chance of making better connection down the entire face of the braid, rather than just two stubs sticking out, which is terrible. It just, like, I don't understand why companies do this. It makes literally no sense, although it's probably simpler, again, to assemble in China, because it's like two little connections and I don't have to really think too much about how they're assembling these things. But again, it's just, this is taking the stock brush and just doing the rewrap on here. Put it on the back first, just a tiny bit to hold it in place. You don't need much there. And then you do a fold down, and that also gets nice fresh braid kind of on the top. You can see how much cleaner and shinier it is right there. And now we have a car that is going to make, and you can, you know, squish these this way and get more fatness. Whoever wants more fatness, I'll never know. But anyway, so what we do now is, this is a COT chassis. Chris, you're going to be getting this too, just in case you break one. It's not the right one, so to speak, but this was off of the Dale Jr. National Guard car. And you can see 2008 Impala SS. So, wait, did he just put the freaking guide on backwards? He did. What a moron. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. This still has the centering on it, which is very kind of loose. What you want to do is you can get little O-rings, little rubber O-rings, and put around here, and that helps kind of firm this up a little bit. I mean, you don't have to use this chassis at all. I'm just kind of showing Chris, that is. I'm just showing Chris. He actually just wanted these, and I'm sending him those, but I'm sending him a pair of extra guides just because you really can't find these things anymore. They're like, it's unobtainium. I'm going to send him this. I'm going to snap it together, and he can refer to this video. There you go. See, it just snaps right in there. It's really simple. And one of the good things about the COT chassis is it's the tilting pod, not the rattle pod. The tilting means there's a post in the front and the post in the back. And this one isn't cracked from having taken it off a base. This might have been a replacement chassis that we got for warranty. We had gotten a ton of this kind of part. Brian Young had, I think, thousands of these things at one point, and was selling them online, which, anyway, just get in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this has a magnet still in it, unfortunately. What you do is you take this magnet holder out, and there's a tiny bit of space in there, and you put lead in there, and then you can drop this down, because when you unscrew these screws, that lowers this magnet pocket, this magnet holder, closer to the track. And you can really refine. I did break this. Oh, well. Anyway, it's fine. It's a chassis plate. You probably need it anyway at some point. Yeah, so you can put weight in there. And that's a really nice way to tune your car. So this has got the Goodyear Eagles still on it, which are adequate for, well, keeping it off the track. That's about it. Anyway, so yeah, the biggest point with tuning this version, which is what I kind of call the second version, it's kind of the last or more current version of the guide system that they make, is making sure that these two little legs, these skis, are kind of pointing down like this and even. If they're not even, that's a big problem. Also, if they're dirty, that's a problem because they won't make good electrical contact. And yeah, there you go. I mean, it is a fairly basic system. And this is just, I can take this off actually. This little lentil, as we called it. This and this are just noise reduction for TV interference, that they have to be here for whatever. For TV interference. This is an RX-42. This is the slower motor, which is about 16,000 RPM. It's not a bad motor. It's just not a terribly fast motor. How you can tell that is the RX-42B, the B is the faster motor. If there's no letter after the number, so this is a RX-42, that means it's the A motor. The B motor is about 18 or so thousand RPM. The A motors are about 16,000 RPM. This is an A motor, and I told you, you can tell because there's more space on either side. Let's see if I can get in here a little bit more and show you a little more. There's more space kind of on the stack, so you can see the windings, and there's just more space. Also, the plates on the armature here are thicker than an RX-42B, I think, slightly. But there's definitely more of them on the RX-42B, the much faster motor. Anyway, there we are. So, a bit of SCX stuff for you.